come up with in this room typically is how the vote takes place. So rather than holding everyone here, let's go to, we'll come back and pick up the minutes and approve those once Dr. Owens gets here. Let's go straight into old business. 2.1, Rolling Hills Ministries, and that's 400 University Parkway. We've been visiting with that organization about the water tower, and commission members, if you'll see that we have submitted, or they submitted a pretty comprehensive report dated June 8th as to the status of the water tower, and it's a 100,000 gallon water tower, and roughly 7, you can come up to the podium, but roughly about 9 points are very clear. The engineer's opinion is that it would cost over $500,000 to stabilize, but the option to stabilize is rather dismal. And if you're looking through the report that's on your screen, you can of course appreciate the complexity of the report, the detail, especially of the base, and how deteriorated it is. But what's even more telling is that you can't get to the top of the water tower to determine even the status of the tank because of the stability of the building. So if commission members, if you would look through your file, you'll see the actual report, summary letter on June 8th, and then you'll see the actual breakdown of the cost to stabilize it, and then each component of the stabilization process, the detail that comes with it. Is there anything y'all would like to add? And I mean, we appreciate the fact that y'all took this so seriously, because it is a significant component of the national district, but there does come a point when something is beyond the scope of a restoration.
I think you did a good job summarizing where we are, and I appreciate the Commission's patience as we work through this. We did engage the firm of Dunham Engineering out of College Station, Texas, to come and evaluate the tank. We met them on site on May 17th, 2023. The inspector that represented Dunham, when he came on site, when David and I met him, he said it's the worst tank he'd ever seen, worst tank he'd ever inspected. In fact, he did not want to climb it until he sent a drone up the tank to look at it. He climbed an outer leg but would not walk on the catwalk and did not get on the inside of the tank. It was just in that poor of a condition, and that's outlined there in the report. Things like extremely poor structural condition, the interior could not be safely accessed, the tank in its current condition is dangerous and poses a threat of personal injury or property damage from falling steel objects or structural collapse, and they recommend that it be rehabilitated or demolished as soon as possible. You see the cost estimate there. That cost estimate is their best guess from what they could see. And again, they didn't get inside the tank, they didn't see inside the bowl, they didn't go in on the catwalk or anything. That's just their opinion of probable cost based on the things that they could see from outside the tank.
If the tank is removed, who would do that? Do you have someone?
That is up to Rolling Hills Ministries to determine who ultimately is the one to demolish that tank. There are companies out there that do this type of work, and we have contacted a company out of, I think they're based out of Minnesota. Eisler Demolition is who we contacted for more information about what it would cost to demolish this tank. They do this type of work all over the nation, and I've been involved on projects, on tank demolition projects with them before, and that's likely who we would choose to do this work.
I mean, this may be some far-fetched idea, but if it is voted to demolish the tank, I'm wondering, is there any way to preserve the tank itself at the top into one piece, to where as we try to develop our historic district and all, and we have a couple of museums that are about Natchitoches history, that maybe that tank itself could be used in another, to repurpose into a museum or to some other degree into our plans in the future. If that would be a possibility, if it was.
Maybe the tank, just preserve it some which way. It's just right, it'd be something you can say, at least we didn't just throw it away. but we did preserve part of it that it could be part of a garden area. It could be moved somewhere in that area, just so that we
Well,
don't lose it.
I'm even thinking of the new development they're trying to work on over where the old mill is and the old gin was, and that does have an old tank over there too, I just feel like if it can be used, if that's something you all might consider.
What's the demo, I mean, interrupt your response, but what is the typical demolition process for removing the tank? Do they remove it in pieces?
So it varies from site to site and from tank to tank, but typically they remove it in pieces. Yes, they
But
typically,
it
they
might
demo
be
the
such
roof.
that it could be reconnected once put on the ground if it's not.
I'm sure that there's any number of possibilities that could take place,
You
and
could do things with it,
We
yes.
certainly can't mandate that, but it would just be something, right, because we've lost a lot of things in the community that they were demolished, and some appropriately, but things went away with it that we'll never get back.
right. And I certainly understand where the commission, I certainly understand your thoughts on that, and so I'm not prepared to talk about how that would take place.
understand
but-
that.
Because I'm not the one that would take it down. I certainly think that would be determined by the contractor taking it down.
Sure.
If he takes it down in pieces or takes it down in one big section. And it really may depend on the condition of the tank itself, how they take it down.
We just wanted to mention that, just to put it into your thoughts.
Sure,
as you're
that's
going
something we'll
through
visit,
this.
we'll visit with Rolling Hills about if we move forward.
If it's a possibility.
We have talked about that. It really depended on the contractor as to the safety, because they're actually going to, you want to tell them how they're going to do it, Bob? I mean, what they have to go through to do it?
So they're gonna show up with a crane on site
Right.
and close the site, tarp the roofs, wet the roofs so that there's no sparks and no fires and those kinds of things. And then cut the tank down in pieces is typically how they do that.
Yeah,
The quote that we got from Eisler Demolition involved them hauling the tank off complete. And again, it was just a quote, it's not a solid bid, we can certainly have them look at different options for the tank, but that's something that needs to be outlined in their proposal to Rolling Hills, is what ultimately happens to the tank. Is it sold for scrap? Is it left on site? Is it hauled somewhere where you
yeah,
all?
if we could just, say, we want it hauled, or if it is salvageable, something in there that says, we, the city of Natchitoches, have a place to put it. If they would just haul it to that spot.
And so if we decide to do that and work out those details, this tank has lead-based paint, it has some other types of paint, we would want you to accept it.
Sure.
We'd want to donate it, and
Yeah,
we'd want
right.
an acceptance letter that you accept it as
As
well.
is,
As
right.
is.
Knowing all that, sure.
Correct.
What was the cost, the estimated cost to remove it?
About $50,000, round numbers.
Well, I just want to make two comments, one directed not really at y'all, but just, I think the bigger issue is, I think the city of Natchitoches, the council, not us, the city council, needs to pass an ordinance that creates some authority with the commission to enforce the demolition by neglect of structures and properties within the district. This has nothing to do with y'all. By the time that y'all had purchased it, I think it had been neglected to the point that it had to be demolished based on this report. But I don't think it's fair or proper for people who live in the district to let structures deteriorate to the position where they just have to be demolished because the cost of rehabbing them outweighs they're just not economically feasible to do that. I'd like some ability of the commission to be able to say, look, you are in essence demolishing this by neglecting it, and be able to fine them or try to enforce something against them. I know there's a provision in New Orleans in their historic district which has demolition by neglect. This came up with the property across from the church's property a couple of years ago. So I wanted to put that on the record. The other thing is, my only hesitancy is I don't like setting the precedent that somebody can buy something and then come in and say, I want to demolish it because the cost of restoring it, I just can't justify spending that. I think this is a very special circumstance. It's not the actual structure, it's this water tower, and that's why I'm gonna vote in favor of allowing y'all to demolish it. Had this been a home, I would not have voted for it. If somebody comes to the commission and asks, look, I bought this home, and now that I bought it, I've looked into it, and it's just gonna cost too much for me to restore it, so I wanna demolish it. I'm gonna tell them we shouldn't have bought the house. I don't wanna create that precedent. I just like to stay on the record, the only reason I'm voting for it in this scenario is because it is not the structure, the structure itself, the building, it's this tank. And so I don't think it has as much historical significance as, obviously as a building. So, at the appropriate time, I would move to, now that Drake's here, I would move to approve the application, to approve the demolition of the tank. With a request, based on what Ms. Salter said, to, if feasible and possible, for some discussion to be had about preserving the tank after it's taken down.
We now have
Can I ask one
quorum.
question for you?
We have a quorum. Let me just, for the rent minutes, record, we do have quorum now, so we can operate as a full commission at this point.
Can I ask one question?
Yes.
As we negotiate with them to try to honor your request, if they cannot bring it down as a whole, would you be interested in preserving pieces of it?
If it can be put back
I
together.
have a piece of the Louisiana Tech water tower on my shelf in Ruston. It's a part of the leg.
Yes. That's what we're talking about, is that, there may be, like, the tank is enormous, but the tank, if you could actually bring it, it would be so nice when you're a part, but in my soul, I think about the people who owned it before you. I doubt they ever look back there and realize, oh my God, we've got a water tower that's in trouble. It's just, I never thought about it, to be honest. I thought it was the cities. I always did when I was in college or whatever, so I never connected it to the building. So I, like Jared said, I hate losing something, but I also appreciate when you bought it, that probably was not on your radar, that there's a tower behind me that's gonna cost $500,000 to do with.
Yeah.
All that
I think
said,
it's a special circumstance because it's not the structure itself.
Well, I'll second the motion.
Okay, I have a motion from Mr. Donahoe, a second from Ms. Salter, to approve the application as presented to demolish the water tank, Rolling Hills water, sitting immediately behind the Kelly Weber building. And the only thing and that's the motion, so I would say the only thing I'd like to make sure in the minutes that we do respectfully request that every attention that can be given.
That was in the motion. Yeah.
There you go. Then I'm sorry, I got that. And that's just honestly the right thing to do. Motion and a second. Any more discussion on that? Okay, seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. That motion carries unanimously.
Thank you so much.
So, good luck, but again, if there's anything that from the preservation side of the commission that we can do to help, have those conversations if we need to engage the assistance of the National Center or the two preservation groups in town, I think we would all be willing to help, even if it's part of a garden. But we've got a lot of opportunities in town that we can do
So he
something
will
with.
be handling it and coordinating it for us, so
Okay.
you're talking to the right guy.
But I do applaud y'all, the building looks great.
questions,
It's
let
put
us
life-
know.
and that- You put life in that building, and I do appreciate the fact that it's in good shape.
Yeah, it's very nice. I was there the other
Yes.
day. Very
Thank
nice.
you very much.
Thank you all. Thank you, Drake, for coming. That allows us to move on into the agenda. And now I've got to get the agenda to pull up. Okay, move on to application. Hold on.
Or new
Application.
business.
In old business, is there any other old business that needs to come before the commission? Okay,
So.
moving to new business application 3.13P Real Estate Holdings, that's a ratification for signage. Hold on a second, I'll pull that one. And you'll notice on your application, it was basically,
No, 3.1? That's repair damage to porch.
Oh, 3.1 is repair and damage to the porch. Okay, this is the College Avenue, the old College Avenue property. That one I was one of the ones that went on site. There was a wreck and it knocked off the front porch and they
Correct.
basically replaced
Oh,
it.
yeah.
The only difference is there was an old, demented, falling apart cement staircase and they replaced it with wood of the same. I didn't see any problem and it wasn't an emergency because it did limit the access to the house. So that was a ratification. Do I have a motion to approve that
I move
ratification?
to ratify the application.
I'll second.
Have a motion from Mr. Donahoe, a second from Ms. Salter to ratify application 3.1. Any discussion on that motion? Okay, seeing none, let's proceed to vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. And that
3.1
motion
is a
carries. Okay, next on the agenda
Dana Francis Lamont.
is application 3.2, Dean and Francine Lemoyne, 225 Williams Avenue. Continuation of a very detailed restoration add-on of that property. And members, you have 3 supporting documents. And if you'd mind giving us an update of what you want to do, I need to take a call, so I need to get the Laura, are you here from the Methodist Church?
No.
Okay.
Signage.
I'm supposed to get him. Can you just kind of-
She's an add-on.
Yeah.
She's an add-on to the agenda.
Methodist Church?
No.
No, she
No.
is.
You're the ad- Okay. Hang on.
What you got?
Okay, go ahead, Ms. Let Dean do his.
In the process of the restoration of the outside of the building, we had encountered a lot of issues with the back of the house with rotten sills, rotten termite damage, all sorts of stuff. And the deck had to be taken off to facilitate the repairs that were done to the back of the house. And while we had the deck off, there was a raised deck approximately 2 feet off the ground. Very modern looking for the house. It was a little out of place. And we would like to go back with like a concrete patio and cover it with a black standing seam metal. We would use the same siding materials and a tapered column like we have on the front of the house. It would be a 10-inch in the back of the house because it's a much smaller scale. And so that's it. And also, we'd like to change the rear entry door. I don't know if you guys got copies of those pictures. There's a beveled glass door that we found that we fell in love with, and also a fleur-de-lis sort of transom window type thing that we'd like to put up higher in the gable and the rear of the kitchen and bring a little light in and add a little character to the house. They were both salvaged items that we bought from a store in Ohio. And
That's pretty.
so we'd like to add those. I included an example of a black standing seam metal. I think it would add a nice little contrast to the architectural shingles in the back. I don't think it would take away from the house at all. I think it would add a little bit of character and a little different texture. Please excuse my drawings there. I'm not
So next on
an
that-
architect by any
No,
means.
Everything looks
Um,
good, the siding will match, the columns will match. It's a great, actually an improvement to the house.
And truthfully, what you're adding on is not even visible from the road.
Right.
I mean, that's not an excuse, I'm just saying.
I didn't
you know,
want to,
applaud the fact that you've done everything you can to keep the front, or the integrity of the front, completely intact.
Well, I'd like to make a motion to accept or to pass the resolution to all of his improvements to the back of the house as the application reads.
I have a motion from Ms. Salter, a second from Mr. Donahoe to approve the application as presented. Any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, proceed to vote. All those in favor of the motion as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. The motion passes.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
You're on to your next project, but like I said, you've done a great job so far. It's a perfect look from the road, so that shows the care that y'all taken. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, next on the agenda, he's on his way. He didn't realize there was a meeting tonight.
Do I need to make a motion to entertain
Yes.
this, what's
Ms.
the
Carroll,
substance of the property?
Barry's
For the Methodist
application.
Church,
No, but she's coming here for.
she's doing something totally different. You want to come up?
Yep. Do I have a-
I'll second the
I have a
motion.
motion from Mr. Donahoe, a second from Ms. Salter, to amend the agenda to, first off, get out of order, but also to allow application from Gabber LLC and Lori Berry, and this is for signage. Do I have take that to vote?
The
All those in
language
favor
picnic.
say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same, so that passes. So now we can entertain the application, and on your screen, you'll notice it's the Natchitoches Picnic Company.
Yes.
And she's asking for signage on the, looks like the Church Street side.
105 Church Street, where you see the cakery sign. It would be about the same dimensions, just with our logo,
Does it meet
In
the
lieu of-
signage,
It
the
does.
footage requirement? Is this a double-sided sign?
double-sided.
Okay.
Okay, that part, it looks like you're doing two signs, a sandwich sign as well? Or is that
No,
just
it's
all?
two-sided.
It's
a
just
two-sided
double-sided.
Sandwich construction, I follow.
Yeah.
I move to approve the application. If it's right size.
It meets the
It
requirements.
is, it does. It does meet the
I'll second.
requirements.
I have a motion from Mr. Donahoe, second from Ms. Salter to approve the application as presented. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Get your sign.
What
Thank you.
what is the, what
Good
is
job.
what are y'all doing?
We were on South Drive prior to this, soup, salad, sandwich, picnics to go type thing.
I'm sure my wife has
Yes.
some money down there too.
Yes, she has. Yes, she's very familiar with us.
So don't forget, when you get ready to do your sign, you have to submit a permit for your sign
Okay.
application.
What have they asked for?
If you give
Let me
us
go
a
back to
minute,
the
I can get you an
application.
application. So you
Yeah, it's
can
for the
complete it
Methodist,
and just
it's for the
submit it.
parsonage or for the Caffey House, but really, they're not asking for much.
Mm-hmm.
We've already ratified the, that's what I want to look at the application. Okay, the next on the agenda is, and if we back up into the agenda, we need to go back and pick up
I move to return to the original agenda.
a second from Dr. Owens, a motion from Mr. Donahoe, a second from Dr. Owens to return the agenda to 3.3 MacArthur and Verna Bolden, that's 422 Line Street. That's an air conditioner replacement. There's no one here to present that application. So I guess we would table it till the next meeting. And that was the one that was up on the end of 2 line, that old
Right.
body shop, and we
Yeah, that's
approved.
the,
They wanted to put an air conditioner on top of in front, and we need to have that needs to be present for the discussion. So
Yeah.
we'll table that agenda until someone can be
That's
present
fine.
to present it.
Oh, they want to put it up there?
Yeah.
What was the one they wanted to put on the roof?
Yeah, the air conditioner.
Okay, next on the application is 3.4, First United Methodist Church, and Mr. Posey is actually en route. So if you would, a second, maybe let's take a look at that application. If you remember, about a month and a half ago, they asked us for emergency approval to level the structure of the building, and they've completed that process, and they had a problem with a weather storm that punctured a hole in the roof, and we authorized the repair of that to actually cover the roof. But he is here actually with the complete application, and
I would start off by saying, just making the statement that, it's my opinion that any portions of the application that address interior changes to the home, I don't think are within our jurisdiction. I don't think we have any control over what somebody does to the inside of their home.
correct.
And so I don't think that's appropriate for us to either.
Well, the only thing that might come up would be, I'm looking at all the windows in there.
Yeah, if you start
You know,
messing with
that's-
anything that changes the exterior, I agree.
Right, inside, no, but it's the
The
exterior.
initial application, their intent is to remove all of the siding, which is great, and replace all rotted boards with the same, and then paint, but I don't think there's anything, Mr. Posey can answer that one when he walks in, but I don't think they've got a decision on paint yet. Outside of that, I do not believe that they really are doing anything to the outside of the building unless they come upon a rotted window and having to deal with the replacement of those same.
What are they gonna do about the roof? Are they gonna replace it?
They're gonna replace the roof, and I believe that's what, one of the things they were coming with is replacing the roof because the shingles no longer exist, and they were gonna use a 30-year architectural
That's what I was
shingle.
wondering what they were gonna do.
But he could better answer that one, but there was nothing they could salvage out of that roof, and we gave them approval to at least patch it because there was a hole in it.
Is that dormer original to the,
Yes, actually it is, and there's actually, the upstairs is about a 2,000 square foot one room, kind of similar to our house, that could really be turned into separate spaces, but as of right now, it's just a floored attic with the dormers being used for cross ventilation. So in the meantime, if you just want to take a look at it, but again, we don't consider anything on the inside.
yeah, the application doesn't really say what they plan on doing, they just kind of attaches pictures to it, huh? Yeah.
That's it. And I did explain that we did need to know exactly what they wanted to do with the outside, but they were not prepared for that. So this is what they gave us on this application.
See what they're wanting permission to do. I saw these trucks just passed. What's going on?
I know that, and also there's something must be going on with the foundations. I saw the truck pull back up.
Well, yeah,
against
they
that.
already did the
Yeah, I
permanent,
saw
we did that
that, yeah.
before for the foundation repair.
But they have been, I live across the street, I've watched them, they've been very cautious and very delicate with the building, and I do appreciate that part. And I appreciate the patience of the commission just as it gets here, because I would rather
Ms. Donna,
have this.
would you be a dear and grab a permit application
Thank you
for me?
doing this.
No, I'm sorry. 5 and 8
They're good.
so far.
She's gonna go next door and grab one from the office.
Killed each other, yeah, so
Not yet.
that's pretty good.
It's coming though.
Yeah.
Give them long enough.
My kids wouldn't
Oh,
have been
there's
set
one.
that still this long for $1 million. I make a motion to fine Mr. Posey for being late.
I'll second that.
He just has all kinds of money to spend on it, but. Thank you, Mayor Posey, for coming to the commission, because we are in the agenda for this meeting, application 3.4 for the First United Methodist Church. And really, right now, we realize that we have given you approval to stabilize, we've given approval to repair the roof. We've gone even as far as to approve that you would be using a 30-year architectural shingle instead of what's up there. Why don't you give us a brief overview of what you're going to do with the outside of the house? The inside isn't in our purview, so we don't even need to address any of that. It's specifically the outside of the house in terms of siding, if the roof, and if you plan on doing anything structurally to the outside of the building, that's the things that we need to go through and consider for
Yeah,
approval.
we don't care what you do to the inside.
No, and right now, I know you were hesitant about color, and we don't have to approve color right now, and Ms. Salter said she would talk to you about that.
Yeah, we're going to be back at the next meeting on the color. I just, David's trying to get some color scheme to show everybody, and I will tell you, everybody loves the color of your house. If you
That's-
don't mind that,
Those,
so far.
yeah, but that's,
Anyway, I'll tell you.
why don't you go to the podium so we can have this recorded, but let's just go from the beginning to the end on the outside of the property, what you're wanting to do, and let's see if we can get those reviewed, considered, and some approvals made so that you can move on with your project.
Okay, the main thing is the roof. We've got an emergency situation, the roof, it was supposed to be started today, but the roofer that works with DSW is out of Shreveport, and they had those storms up there the other day, and they've gotten delayed a little bit. He thinks they'll be here 2 weeks from this week. The only thing with the outside structure that we're doing, First United Methodist Church sponsors AA for the community, Alcoholics Anonymous. We have figured out a way to let them have an interest of the building on what I call the south side by the gym, by the parking lot, and we're going to have a ramp that goes up there. We decided that we're going to do, we had a ramp going on the other side of the house for, we needed a handicap accessible ramp to get in. And then we got to thinking, why not, if we need to have it for, if AA had a person in a wheelchair, they couldn't get in there. So we've deleted the ramp on the north side and made it all on the south side so they would have access to get into our facility. And that would be a handicap ramp access. AA meets in there, they go in, we can lock all the doors, they have a bathroom and a place to meet, and that's where they will meet. That's the only thing outside. Now, the back side of the house, the porch on the back side is rotten. They're going to tear that out and have to just put that back in place and stuff, so.
Where would, I'm just trying to look, I'm looking at the south side picture, so where would the ramp, like where would, if I'm in a wheelchair, where would I enter the home going up the ramp? Would I enter it up, is it just to get onto the porch up here? Is that how it
The
would?
ramp is going to be right in, this is the pastor's office, the ramp will be right in here.
Are you gonna delete those two windows?
That would be like where the door would be to go in?
Let's see my drawing. Admit, I'm not sure about that. Is that a problem deleting the windows?
Yeah, it is.
Well, we'll move it over if it is.
What, well, interior wise, you know, what is there? I mean, if you move those windows, because it's truly visible,
What door, what room that is in the other picture?
and this house is so old, it's,
This part back, boy,
Okay, it comes in, right, this is the pastor's office, this is where we are.
Do you help me move that back up?
yeah, I got my fingers up in the middle of it, so probably that messed it up. This back part was added on right here.
We could tell that.
So you can tell by the different windows that this part was added, and that's the part that, so you're thinking possibly putting that ramp on the back end would be more feasible than, and I can't see those windows. Are the windows right there original, or were they replaced with metal?
I think those are the original.
I think they're
Okay, so
original. They
those
look
match.
just like the other two on
Okay,
that side. They
They're all
match.
matching.
Yeah.
These are the ones that
Right,
don't
yeah, we
match.
know that's an add-on, you can tell by the construction, I don't know if the guys, the DSW said this was an add-on room here.
You can tell, because it's, when you go in the back, it actually is kind of falling off the back of the house. Maybe consider the ramp on the back, and just you would access it from a farther part from the church, and then there's a way that you could probably screen it, so that you can't see it as much, but it
You
needs
can
to
do
be
that
safe because it
with
is an
plantings
entrance.
even, you know, you
I'm
can
trying to
plant
think
some
where-
bushes.
Is there a way to do the ramp such that people can get in? You're trying to do it such that they don't have to go through the pastor's office in the back too?
Right,
Okay.
they would have access to the whole facility, when they get in this room, there's a door in the pastor's office, a door in the hallway, there's a door,
You're wondering to
Lee-
give them access, handicap to the front.
Lee, that
hall.
little bitty tiny window, I'm assuming that's a bathroom? The little tiny window?
That's that blue bathroom, Lee.
Yes.
All right, what is between that little window and those two windows? What would that be?
That's,
My question is, can that be where the door goes in?
well, I think, and we're just gonna have to make it, I think we put the
Can we?
door right here in between.
Okay,
I
where
don't
it wouldn't
think they
interfere
show it
with
on
the
here. That's just
pastors?
something we're gonna have to go back and make work.
Yeah, we need to look at that because
You
we
think
really
that's
don't want
these-
to.
These windows right here, you think those are the pastor's, is that the pastor's office right there?
That would be, that's all the windows to the pastor's office.
Okay.
This whole new section is added on. This is the room, here, and we'll just have to make it work. If we can't remove the windows, we can't. I think we can work around that. I think we got room to
We
do
need
it.
to make this.
And so y'all gonna remove the siding too? Is that what y'all planning on the other
Right,
side?
they got the original siding, they removed all that vinyl off of it, and we're gonna go back and put have the original siding, they're gonna do whatever you do,
Clean it up.
clean it up and paint it. We like the look, it kind of looked across the house, it looked a lot like the house that's, B&B on the corner
Okay.
there.
Okay. Lee, what about if you took those two windows, split them apart,
These,
yes, and put a door between them? Reuse those
that
windows.
can be done. We can-
And that way you could still get your ramp where you want it. It won't interfere, it's not gonna throw things off as much as if the door is to the right.
See, you'll lose, what'll happen is this won't be so obviously split up if you put the windows farther out and put a door between it. These big white spots won't be so prevalent. And it saves all of your,
It's more in balance too with everything.
You follow what I'm saying?
I see what you're talking about, balancing it off, yes. And that's, I think that's doable. George Mentor is kind of changing something in there, helping us a little bit with something. Joe Pearson designed all this. Joe, he's done it for City Bank, and he's got a piece of equipment that he laid all this out. And
Yeah.
Joe's been working with us. Joe and
Let me
George
see
graduated
this.
from high school together.
Let me see that in your paper.
And he's gotten George as a favor because he's designed their bank up in Bossier that's fixing to open.
And Joe ain't gonna let up either.
I wouldn't mind it, because that is.
Okay, this is the pastor. Okay, here is a door, but that was the door you were gonna put in.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, and you left one window. So what we're asking is just to move that window over, put the door there, and then put the other window. So you can do that with this. It's just this little
It
wall
looks
right
like
here.
they got the door
There's-
where it's not gonna be affected, but y'all would rather us.
No,
go back?
that's taken out one of the windows.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, they took out one of the windows. That's the issue.
Save your windows and just put the door between them.
I don't think that's
You see right here, there's just one window. That would have been the second window.
Oh.
And they took it out. So that would be a window, that would be a door, and then the window over there. You would just center that on that wall.
I saw the iron, the wrought iron you're gonna use for like the handrail and stuff. It's just, I saw they all attached a picture from our office. It's just gonna be similar to that, you think?
You talking about the ramp?
Yeah.
Yeah, they wanna make it look nice. They wanna put, because the column area in the back, they're gonna put wrought iron fencing.
Mm-hmm.
They want to put short wrought iron fencing, on the ramp going in.
And there was also, it also showed, I saw there was something for signage. You all putting a sign somewhere? Do you know?
Now, you talking about signage for everything?
It just says front signage and handrails. I just want to make sure we approve everything you need to get approved. Do you know if there's going to be a sign that y'all need to do?
We're gonna have our signage out there. We're gonna bring that at a later date.
Okay.
We're the last, we're coming back to y'all.
I just want to make sure if we could approve something you needed to approve.
I think what they did was they put everything on this one thing, but I did hear them say that they wanted to put, if there was gonna be lighting in the front, they were gonna use the same bevel type that we used and all, and that's probably what he's talking about, is that they would put something in the front yard, but to say for a later meeting.
Lighting in the front yard.
Yeah, and they were gonna keep in touch with what y'all have done down here with all the beautification. I heard George telling Joe that, and Joe saying it, but you don't have to get that approved at this meeting. I think what he was trying to show you is that you're gonna carry the wrought iron throughout, the ramp, and then the lighting that's gonna be in the front and on the sides.
Right now, the way things are playing, we were trying to just get the roofing done.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna be back before y'all on the meeting in August to try to get everything else taken care of. plus
Okay.
things on it.
But I guess the roofing, it's a 30-year architectural, did y'all pick the color? I know it was just,
So Weatherwood.
Weatherwood? Okay,
Y'all
great.
gave some options.
Yeah, right.
And everybody liked the, we didn't want to go with black, they wanted Weatherwood, which has a charcoal look, I guess.
it does.
It's a
We
great one.
ordered them and got it lined up.
Perfect.
And then you need approval of the woodwork in the back, if y'all have to remove anything to replace it.
Yeah.
Because there any rot or anything like that. And then approval of the handicap ramp, railing, and, subject to saving the windows.
Well, tonight, I'll make a motion to approve the 30-year Weatherwood shingle along with the removal of the siding and replacement with the wood boards,
Any rotted boards that you
any
come
rotted
up with
boards that need replacing.
throughout the outside of the property.
And I think that'll cover everything that you want right now.
I second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve the application specifically for the roofing and the removal of the siding and the replacing of any rotted boards throughout the property. Also, we have given approval to split the windows and actually put a door
Yes,
between
I'm sorry.
those.
Yeah,
And-
please, yeah.
What I'd probably say, Lee, is get George or Joe to amend the architectural rendering and then put that one in here so there's a record of it split. And otherwise, you're saving the windows, so there's nothing to discuss about replacing rotted windows at this point. Have a motion from Mr. Donahoe, a second from Ms. Salter to approve the application. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion passes.
All right, thank y'all.
Thank you.
Well, Lee, did
Lee,
you want
that's-
any more help?
I was saying marrying and painting, it's just different
The
ideas.
second color of choice has been done a whole lot for us, so we figured
Did
both
they
of those would
adjourn?
have to be
There'd
approved.
be something in there.
Just, the only reason I'm saying is look at, and Joey's the one that said it has to be white. No, Joe, it does not have to be white. But Joe, look at around the neighborhood and just other codes to make it stand up or stand out, because that's a beautiful
You know,
home.
Yeah,
We need to
once the
approve
base
this.
color is picked, a white trim color will really make that other pop out once y'all decide
That's
that.
what I told
If
them.
you need any help, just call me.
Sent out a church today to go down to Second Street.
Once you start with
Yeah.
this, you don't
And
have
the
to keep
second
it
turn
on.
on Poet, turn on Jefferson, there's enough houses right there, that got enough color variation to go.
Yeah, yeah. Well, call me if you need.
I'll find it, it came
I'm
up.
glad to help y'all.
Anything else come before the commission?
I make a motion that we approve the minutes from the last meeting.
Thank you. I have a motion from Mr. Donahoe, a second from Ms. Salter to approve the minutes as presented. All those in favor say aye. Mr. Owens is still here.
I move to adjourn.
Motion, second from Ms. Salter to adjourn. All in favor say aye. Opposed, the same. Meeting adjourned.